All right, Peter, over to you.
Thanks. Hello, everybody. Welcome on Technical Airlift Microsoft Exchange Community Conference. I'm Petr Vlk and presenting here from Czech Republic, Prague, nice, summer Europe, and we will be talking about security in Exchange Online inspired by law. I'm enterprise architect at KPCS. We are a Czech consulting company, and I'm the Microsoft MVP for the Microsoft 365 services. And we will deep dive into the local legislation, which was inspired also by the international law. But I think that it's quite of the interesting that the people here in the Czech Republic is thinking about the security as the needed part and also for the email communication. I think that everybody which listen this session can imagine how to secure their mail flow or make the things a little bit better in the security posture of their exchange. But we will be strongly talking about the implication of the local law here in the Czech Republic, the Cybersecurity Act, which was approved a couple of years ago. But the last year, it was quite of the addition because our lawmakers make some additions and aim the security directly to the email communication. So what is it about and why secure the mail flow, secure the exchange online or the mail traffic itself? It was about the phishing attacks here in the Czech Republic, which became a more relevant and more targeted to organization. On the screenshot, you see, for example, three traditional organizations here in the Czech Republic. The first is the large bank here in the Czech Republic, the second, the also one, and the third is the postal traditional service. These phishing attacks was meant to bring and gather the credit cards, gather the personal information, gather the sign-in credentials from the users. And the lawmakers and here the cybersecurity agencies start thinking, hey, we need to bring a more security to this world and the classic mail transport, and for example, make things more secure for the government organization. So they are start thinking, hey, we need some tools, we need some processes to help the user to combat the current threats in the phishing. And does not only say this is the phishing, we need to block this URL, block this domain, or for example, delete these emails, or for example, bring to justice some bad people with sending these phishing attacks. They just want to say, hey, we want to secure our government, our critical infrastructure, and the critical business here in the Czech Republic. And frankly, we can say that the end user, when clicking on this link, for example, the notification from the bank, please, there is a problem with your account, for example, from the second bank, here you need to verify your credit card because there is some strange operation. We need to verify your identity. Or, for example, the last one, the really going attacker right now is to send, hey, you receive a package from the international borders, you need to pay some fee to this package will be delivered. And the users just handling their personal data. So the lawmakers start thinking, hey, we need to help the user when, for example, they are bring to this URL, which you are quite familiar. It is the sign-in screen and the Microsoft 365, the old one. But from the user perspective, it is no difference here. They just sell their passwords, sign in, and are forward to classic OAuth or some application illicit grants, consent attacks, or something like that, or just sharing their credit cards. So the lawmakers start thinking, hey, we need for our critical infrastructure, make things a little bit secure, that the sender and the receiver can really say, this is the better security. Do not say this is not secure, but say this is verifiable. I can trust this sender. I can verify his identity or her identity, or for example, trust the mail communication itself. We in the past have a lot of tools for that, like the SMIME and so on. But in the reality of the exchange, we have things like the office message encryption and so on. But on the transport level, most organization does not do their work really correctly. What is leading to? It was a recent attack here in the Czech Republic when the Ministry of Labor and Social Affairs start thinking and start sending the notifications to the newspapers. Hey, dear people here in the Czech Republic, there is an ongoing attack on you, and someone sending the fake notification that you can receive, for example, some money from the government because there are hard times here in the Europe, and you can have some money for your children, for your education, and so on. And on the left, you see a two screen. It is in the Czech language, I know, but one of them is the fake page, fake email from the attackers, and the second one is the real one from the government. Based on the picture, you can see that the difference for the end user is not so there. So the lawmakers start thinking, hey, we need some tools, some procedures, and for example, also influence the companies to secure their mail flow, that we can trust the email and the sender, their identity, that this is the real person which sent the email, or for example, the agency or the government on the ministry, or for example, someone from the critical infrastructure here in the Czech Republic, for example, like some electricity companies and so on. We see in the Czech Republic that the attacks was on the rise. We have targeted a lot of hospitals here in the Czech Republic, the Vltava River Authority, City of Prague, and even the largest one companies like the Microsoft and Cisco was hit, not here in the Czech Republic, but in Europe and or across the world. But the largest attack of the Directorate of Roads and Motorways this year was the biggest in the newspapers, in the headlines of the news, because Wall company, which basically runs the transit across this small country in Europe, it was totally hit by the ransomware, and everything was gone from this organization. They need to run everything from the backups and so on. So the lawmakers start thinking, we need some tools, we need, for example, some leverage to these companies and the critical business, that we need them secured, not only in the exchange, but also on their infrastructure itself. But we are on the exchange conference, so we will talk mostly about the exchange itself. But you can correlate not only here in the Czech Republic, but for example, the pandemic itself. Probably you also received some phishing link. For example, you can make COVID testing by free for your government or something like that. The attacks was on the rise because the companies, the remote working, they were not prepared, and also the communication became digital. Here in the Czech Republic, the most options how to verify somehow identity is meet in the person. We have no strong online identity. We have no strong online authentication, and the MFA and, for example, the digital government identity is start slowly be adopted by also the government and other agencies, but in person was top of them. But in this case, when I need to secure our infrastructure, or for example, the environment itself, where the devil is hidden for us in the terms of the exchange and the mail flow, it is about the identity of the users and their passwords. Because when I store your identity, I can send the email as you to your contact list, to your organization, and everybody will start trusting it is you. What is unfortunate for the users, when some investigation will occur, there is your name in the audit log and saying to the police, I didn't send that, when you do not have deployed, for example, the MFA or something method like that to verify the second factor in this time of the action, is like a nonsense. It is a no-go. It is your name in the audit logs. So the passwords of the users are the best thing when the devil can lay on. The second is their web browsers. Most users accessing the mail services by the web access, or for example, the mobile devices, mobile applications, their home computers were not secure enough, and for example, was quite often a target for the attackers. We see, for example, the attack when the attacker leverage the unsecure home computer and, for example, to the Outlook application, really send the mails which were not on the mail server itself. And for example, from the traditional business email compromise, the company pastes some fake invoices to this attacker because they just stick this email to the mail client on the end user side. The third is the mail application itself. We have the Outlook in the Exchange world. We have a third-party clients. We have the native clients on the mobiles. We have a different kind of the application around the world, and all of them need to be secured. Also, we have the classic messages which can have a phishing link, or for example, the classic attachment with the malware or some ransomware attachment, for example, in the case of the classic macro attacks or something like that. But all these things we need to secure in the Exchange world. But lawmakers start thinking we need to start somewhere. And we focus mainly because the Cybersecurity Act here in the Czech Republic focus on the critical infrastructure. We need to secure the infrastructure itself. And after that, the mail flow and other things will follow after that. Because when we secure the infrastructure, we can build on top of that. The exchange itself will be secured and the mail flow also. So after that, I can secure the identity in the system. What was here in the Czech Republic, the lawmakers? It is the National Cyber and Information Security Agency. It was formed by the act, by the law, which specified this agency is responsible to protect our, for example, the country itself, and specify by the law the terms, the applicability, the processes in the security measures, the requirements for the companies, and which companies are under this law. For example, companies which are running the critical infrastructure here in the Czech Republic, or for example, the companies which provide some services like the hospitality and so on. We have also a decree in this law which specify the organization and technical measures, like you need to have a complex and unique passwords, you need to deploy ideally the MFA, you need to have a SIAM system, for example, audit all the logs, you need to just-in-time access or leverage the airbag permissions and so on, and how to handle also the security incident itself. But what is crucial in the exchange, in the October last year, they can say, based on this act and based on this law, we publish the protective measure in the terms of the mail communication. And we need to deploy methods to increase the protection of information systems, and it specifies the requirements, the dates, the technologies, the specification, and the guidelines. It is the similar like the executive order in the United States, which specify by the president, you need to have a phishing resistant MFA method. But here in the Czech Republic, it is your mailing system should be secured by these technologies. So it is the law itself, and every company which falling under this law must deploy these things. What this protective measure is driven by, it is only a couple of documents in the Czech language, or also there is available English translation in someone wants, there will be a link in the presentation on the end, and there specify the technologies, specify the words, what the, in our case, the exchange admins needs to implement. In ideal world, they do not need to do this because everybody do their job correctly and everybody always, and when they deploy the Exchange server, already secure the mail flow. But we see, for example, here in the Czech Republic, and the statistics across the Europe are quite of the similar. Not every company does that. And also, unfortunately, the government itself and the agencies and the critical infrastructure itself. So where is the applicability for this law here in the Czech Republic? We have the GDPR in the Europe. Quite say most people really hate it, but we can say if you send the personal data by the email, for example, in invoices or, for example, some healthcare data like the HIPAA in the US or so, you should secure that data. So, for example, the GDPR, if a company is falling under, it can say we need to implement this. But we have the cybersecurity law itself, and the companies under the critical infrastructure important information system, or for example, because we run the European Union presidency right now, everybody which is doing part of this presidency must secure their mail flow and exchange after that. And we have coming from Europe the new NIS2 legislation, which aimed to the important industries and critical business. So probably a half of the companies here will fall under it. But in the ideal world, everybody else should secure their mail flow the same way how this law is specified, because I can say it is similar to the best practices which really the every exchange admin should deploy. Here in the Czech Republic, it was a time to panic. The question it was, because it was like, hey, there is some protective measure, what need to do? And for example, the critical infrastructure needs to deploy immediately these requirements. But for example, the most company can the options to wait to the January of the next year. But it is quite as soon, it is the quarter and couple of days. So most company doesn't choose the kind of strange approach to this law, like what to do about it. Keep calm, it will come over like the GDPR, or start panic, we need to do something right now. And most of the companies are on the left or the right, do nothing or do everything. There were a couple of solutions in the terms of the law, like make it ignorance. It will vanish, no one will care next year, and nothing will broke. I think that it is not an ideal approach. Do the paperwork. For example, make some people write some standards and make some reasonable documents why your company does not need to implement this. It was a quite of an approach which I unfortunately also see. The next approach was like implement everything now, like turn it on every recommendation, turn every solution, every technology. And after that, the second day, it was like from the users where my emails are. I'm missing some important data from my customer, or for example, my business partner, the emails receiving does not working, fix it. So it was a really bad approach because these technologies require some time, or for example, require some auditing mode, or for example, fixing the third parties. And for that reason, most companies like waiting, we will implement it in the January because everybody will fix it. In our case, and in our customer base, we implemented in proper way, like run every technical solution in the audit mode, and after that switch to the enforce mode, and after that inform all the third parties. It is the work with the third party, because most companies need to answer the one and basic question: what is the email itself? Where the law is applicable in the reality of our company? It is the exchange online, it is the exchange server, it is the hybrid, it is the clients, it is the transport from the internet or to the internet. It is our service for the newsletters like the SendGrid, MailChimp, and so on. Does our SharePoint document storage sending some notifications to the users? Our monitoring script, for example, sending some notification to the ITs, and for example, they are not configured properly. We have special apps which sending invoices to our customers. We have the appliances which run backups and sending the notification about it. Maybe the ugly printer in the receptions. It always send the multifunction scanner, sending the SMTP emails to the company because someone scanned the document once time a year, but it is the SMTP transport. And by the law, if you read it, everything in this case is the email system itself. It's sending the email to company or the party which fall under the law. So I need, for example, in this case, start thinking, what is the mail system in our company? What's sending, generating the emails to the internal one or the external one, and fix everything in the place. Or, for example, replace it with something a little bit better, for example, the Cloud Exchange. Most people here was thrown into the question that find out that the exchange is not the same exchange. We have the exchange online because it depends solely on the Microsoft to configure some protective measures and IT administrators to turn some settings on. But most companies with the Microsoft Exchange Server on premises, it depends on the Microsoft, what Microsoft will support for this Exchange Server. This version of the Exchange itself, do I already upgrade to the latest one or not? We have some Windows Server running under the Exchange Server itself. We have the .NET components. We have the publishing to the internet, some mail gateway which protecting our emails, or for example, making some phishing or classic anti-spam controls. And frankly, I can say the Exchange Server on the on-premises does not support much of the security technologies specified by this law. So quite of the solution was moved to the Exchange Online because it supports the everything, just a small bit it's missing right now. And what is the law in the technical side? I talked that the critical infrastructure, some businesses fall under this law and must implement these security measures. I talked that company must answer the question, what system is fall under the law and what is our mail flow itself, and what are the technical measures which law specify you need to implement into your living system. It is starting in the mail transport itself, like the technical and the low-level things. I need one server connect to each other and send the email in the internet or, for example, the local network. So we have the start TLS, and we need to send the email by the encrypted channel. You can say, and probably you can also say, yes, this is default. But quite unfortunately, there are some system which does not support that, or someone just forget to set up it. Or for example, there was some really old invoicing system which sending the emails once a year and does not support that because in the last 10 years was not money to repair the systems or replace it. So there are quite of the companies where the large number of the emails coming the unencrypted channel. Also, the law specify you need to use the transport layer security, which is the newer ones, the 1.2 versions on the newer, and you can say, hey, in the Exchange Online, we are okay, because on the picture, there are cryptographic means and the protocols and the TLS, which are specified also by the law, which are the secure methods how to handle the encrypted channel. And Exchange Online is like, okay, we done that. Microsoft do that for us, configure everything, and we comply with this law in these terms. But in the Exchange Server, we need to fine tune it, maybe. We need to upgrade the Windows Server which is under the exchange, because it does not support the new ciphers and the cryptographic means specified by the law. So for example, I need to do the upgrade of the exchange, move and buy the new licenses for the Windows server itself, and for example, also disable some older like the SSL libraries and so on. If you install new servers right now, everything is also configured in the comply with the law, but do you have a new server? Quite of the question. It continues that the mail transfer must use for the second channel the trusted certificate published by the trusted authority, ideally in the public, and the domain name must match the certificate name which present on the server. On the Exchange Online, we are ready to go. Microsoft configured everything. So the mail protection.outlook.com is protected by the certificate authority Microsoft Corporation, have the certificate name correctly, and everything is okay. In the on-premises, I need to obtain this certificate. I need to configure by this, or for example, I already do that in the past. I already vanished the local host. I already vanished the local names of the our domain from the certificate because the trusted authority does not handle the certificate with the local names. But for example, we need also to fix all the things, all the appliances, all the servers, others sending the emails through this exchange, because, for example, our SMTP printer does not have the certificate to sign the communication like the printer.company.com. It just simply does not have. So probably I need also to fix the transport and choose my mail server as the primary one. And quite of the unfortunately, it does not stop there. The law specify I need also to secure the mail transport by signing my domain by the DNSSEC. And for example, it protects from the main in the middle attacks that I can run the DNS query. What are the sender or recipient identity? I need to verify the domain of the company. And in this case, the Czech Republic was, I can say, was leader in the implementing the domain name system security extension, the DNSSEC. So everybody Czech domains are signed and fine with that. But quite unfortunately, the people in the Exchange Online must wait to the time when Microsoft signed the Exchange Online domain, the Outlook.com, and the protections itself. So this protection is not in the place, unfortunately, in this time. And it is the same with the second protocol, with DANE, which specify, hey, we as the company, we using the secure mail transport. We always use the transport layer security. We will use and leverage this certificate. Currently, the DANE protocol and the details on technical level are on the different two-day session secure the mail flow in the Exchange Online. It is supported on the partially. For the outbound, something for the inbound, but we can specify the needed records in the DNS system and start leveraging when the Microsoft turn the support on in the private or public preview or in the test mode, so you can start prepare for this. Here in the Czech Republic, because the lawmakers start thinking not everybody, and must say the exchange and the Exchange Online is one of the small portion of the products which support these technologies. So we have the optional measure, the MTA STS specified by the Google, strict transport security, which specify our domain was signed, delivered by the HTTPS protocol, and the sender can verify the same things as the DANE and verify the identity of the recipient server on this end. And this is the mail transport. This is the most crucial part of this law, and everybody company must implement this technology or say, hey, I have some technical measures different from them, or I have a really good reason why to do that. And after that, the law starts thinking, And we have the mail clients. They also read the mail and accessing the mail systems. So the law specify use only the secure access only the secure variants of the protocols like the CMTP, IMAP, and also the web access like the OVA, or for example, the web access for the PowerShell and so on, only using the HTTPS variants. In the Exchange Online, okay, everything is supported. I only need as the IT to turn it on. I need to, for example, deliver the authentication to the end users, and these protocols are available. In the Exchange server, I can have some problems on the reference systems. I definitely have problems. So the move to the cloud is like a quite easy solution, because the native clients was not even told in this protective measure, but there's a wording: each client access must use the secure protocol. So even the mapping of the Outlook is secure because it's transferred and delivered by the HTTPS. And not only the HTTPS, we need to have a strict transport security setup on the HTTPS. So the company cannot downgrade the accessing to the email to the client, or for example, the Office web app or Office on the web, the Outlook on the web, to the classic HTTP. In the online, I'm okay. There's no options how to send or receive the emails in the cloud without the HTTPS. In the local server, I can misconfigure my internet information server and have the server available without that. So I always need to do something. And what is the most crucial thing here? The last part of the law is we need to implement also the mail security itself. We need to implement the sender policy framework, which specify which servers, which appliances, which apps are allowed to send the emails from our company. And what is specified by the law, it is we need also not only send these records in the DNS system, domain name system, we need to leverage the soft file and hard file mechanism. So every server which sending the emails and is not approved by the company, this email will be thrown away after that. So most company here implement the SPF in the case when are in the Exchange Online, because the Exchange Online and the setup wizard of adding new email domain to the Microsoft 365 specify, hey, you should set up this SPF record. Quite unfortunately, some IT administrators broke some things because they just copy and paste these records from the admin center and just forgot the Exchange Online. It is not only the one which sending the emails from our company. So it brings us to the first questions. What is the email system in our company? It is the printer, it is the Exchange server, it is the hybrid, it is the appliance, it is the invoicing system, it is SAP or something else. We need to answer that and fix the SPF records in the right time. And also, we need, for example, look to the DNS records that these records are specified by the company. And the law specify if you send the email and this policy is set, and the email is not in the not fall under the this email is okay, the sender identity is okay, you should throw this email away. And after the SPF, you have the DKIM, domain case identified mail, the second technical options, how to sign the headers and the body of the emails when it transport the mail from the internet and to the internet. So I know that the email was not compromised. The email itself was not changed in the times of the transport, and probably it is also like of the SMIME if I sign also the body of the email. But for us and for the legislative point here, we need to sign the from and subject of the email. And in the Exchange Online, we are okay. The DKIM can be set. It is only needed to be done by the administrators. You know, and try to imagine what I do if I have a local Exchange server. I do not have support for the SPF. I do not have a support for the DKIM. I need to obtain some solution or mail gateway, or for example, transport our mail in the e-hybrid from the Exchange Online to the Exchange server, or for example, leverage some community party add-ons or third-party paid solutions to bring the support to the Exchange server. And the lawmakers does not stop there. They also say, hey, you need to implement the DMARC, domain-based message authentication, reporting, and conformance. What is that for that? It is also the DNS record, same as the SPF and DKIM, but specify that the company is leveraging these two protocols, and if some email, some sender, or for example, some message will be sent, how to handle the controls of the SPF and the DKIM. Because I can compare the headers in this case and say, hey, someone faked the sender from, or for example, the domain part, and I can act on it. For example, make the email go to the quarantine or throw it away. And the lawmakers say here, you should quarantine or even reject the email which fall this control. And the sampling rate should be as 100%. So every email, no testing mode here, or just a couple of emails. So these three technologies was a quite surprise for everyone, because the mass company does not deploy them, and in most cases only have the SPF record. But in the Czech Republic reality, it was a really hard part and still is. Why of that? Because most people even does not have support for this technology, or for example, implemented it in the bad way. So, for example, if we looking to the reports in the Exchange Online Protection and so on, we see that there are a lot of failing emails, which are, for example, this company specify in the DNS, hey, I have the SPF, I signed all the emails by the DKIM, I have the DMARC specify, and all emails which are not okay, throw it away, we are okay. But in the reality, you see that all their emails are not okay and will be thrown away if you set up the policy in the restricted way. Why of that? Because probably story as you heard or lived, unfortunately also, because some network guy think I need to shuffle some IP address spaces in the company. We, for example, change our public IP address space and only make changes on the network level. We just forgot say to the Exchange admins. Or for example, our Exchange server was moved to the different server. It was made by the upgrade, the IP address change, and nobody bothered to update their publicly specified DNS records in this case. And after that, probably also change the subject or the CNAME of the server itself published to the internet, because they implement some mail gateway or something like that. So basically, this company broking their mail flow and specifying the wrong reports in this case. And this will be a huge problem in the January here in the Czech Republic, because after that we need to throw away a lot of emails. So I think it is a good part that, for example, here in the Czech Republic, most company is starting, we need to implement this. And I hope so that also across the board, because if everybody, as the lawmaker says, everybody implement these technologies, the number of the phishing emails and, for example, the standard phishing which go and mimic I'm some public services or the public company will be away, because every domain into the internet will be secure in the same manner. So it will use the SPF, it will sign the emails by the DKIM, it will leverage the DMARC to the reporting of the attacks itself. And we also quite of the see the attacks on the infrastructure of the domains. So these technologies are really working, and I strongly recommend to implement this if you do not have them. there are quite a lot of technologies, a lot of stories. Are we in the Exchange Online? Are we in the hybrid? What to do? In this case, the local Microsoft branch was coming to the help and ready to help. And here in the Czech Republic, in the Trust Center, you can download the technical descriptions of these measurements specified by the law, but translated to the easy wording of the IT administrators with the implementation guide, how to turn these technologies in the Exchange Online, how to turn it on if you use and leverage the local Exchange server or leverage the Exchange hybrid, and how to leverage the Defender for Office 365 in the case when you need to investigate if you really deploy these technologies correctly, or for example, deploy these technologies the third party, which you sending emails to you, or for example, your company sending to this company. So this recommendation is available. I have the links in the presentation, and it leverage the Exchange Online mostly in most parties because it supports everything specified. And if not, it will coming in the next month. It is already on the public roadmap, and we hope that the next year everything in the first quarter or the second one will be supported. But also it leveraged the Defender for the Office 365, like the addition to the traditional Exchange Online protection, which many companies have. The Defender for the Office 365, in this case, helping with the advanced technologies like the DMARCs and investigates the report itself. Unfortunately, today in the console, we do not have a tools to check how our company is using these technologies. But I can say there are quite places in the console which warn the IT administrators that we do not use these technologies and should be. For example, the compliance manager. But there are third-party services like the Valimail, which you can use if you use the Microsoft 365 licenses for the free. And for example, if you implement it, the DKIM and the DMARC, you can check if your domain is okay and who's sending the emails, or for example, if your emails going to the internet are okay with that. Everything is specified in this document. I can provide the link after that. So, but for the Defender for the Office 365, I talk it as the baseline for this protection specified by the law. Why of that? Defender for the Office 365 have the strong anti-phishing policies to be deployed and options to leverage the phishing of the company domain, company users, company names, domain names, and so on. And it building on the top of the SPF, DKIM, and DMARC records. So if your company does not leverage them, does not set up them correctly, and also the second part or the other company on the internet, the Defender can be blind in this case. So the controls like have some false positive and so on, or just do not track all the attacks. In the Defender Office 365, there is options to set up the policy from the less strict to the really strict policy. And if you set up the really strict, which is not specified by the law, but it's specified by the technologies, and your domain, your company does not deploy these technologies, the Defender will throw away all the emails and everything will be basically the phishing, even the regular emails. And it is okay, because the technologies say that. And your company by the DNS records say that. So deploying the Defender for the Office 365 is one of the top of the features how we can here in the Czech Republic help to comply with this law, because we have the reporting, we have the tools, we have the console, how to set up the policies. And in the case of the Exchange Online, we are totally okay, because everything is in the place. In the local Exchange server, we need to do a lot of needed works. So where to set up these technologies? I recommend the next session securing the mail flow, so only the highlights. You need to definitely go to the Exchange Online Admin Center, but you can go to the security.microsoft.com when you find the Exchange Online protection and Defender for Office 365. And you can find out the transport security reports here in the console. So for example, if you go to the Microsoft 365 Defender on the security.microsoft.com, you will find out on the left the email and collaboration section. There is a policies and rules, and after that, the threat policies. In this case, you will find out all the policies specified by the Exchange Protection and Defender for Office 365. If you do not have it, there is a free trial to run it if you click on this menu on your tenant. And you can try, for example, leverage also the Defender for the Office 365 in the audit mode. It will not throw away or, for example, tell you you have everything wrong, but just saying you, if I will be implemented or turn it on, these are bad emails, these are okay, and you can act on that. So in the policies and the threat policies, there are present security policies. And these defaults specified by the Microsoft are totally okay by this law. So for example, if I leverage what the Microsoft is doing in the console, we are okay. We're just waiting to support by the Microsoft to set up the one missing technology with the Dane. And after that, I only need to set up the DNS record in my public domain and everything is okay. But it is the situation only for the new company. I need to measure the impacts. But if I can say the Microsoft is doing the work for our IT administrators. The second link here is the configuration analyzer. I can measure the movement and the differences, for example, from these strict policies and my own policies which I set up in the past. Maybe I find out that I was wrong, something was broken behind, or for example, I just something forget. And I have also the email authentication set up here and the anti-phishing policy, which specify the controls made by the DMARC itself. And how to set up, for example, the DKIM, the same console threat policies, the security center. I choose the domain, just creating the DKIM records, and it will say me what I need to go and implement in my DNS records, and everything is okay after that. Couple of clicks, couple of browsing in the console, and I'm okay with this law itself. And the last part in the console, there are reports in the security center. On the last, there are email collaboration reports when I can see the spoof detection report across all the bad emails, the classic spam and phishing and so on. And the spoof report itself is really the one of that which I need to go and check, hey, this is wrong. This email will fake it and it is not compliant with the law. Maybe my domain is broken, maybe the third party which I send the email or something like that. How to check if I'm okay with the law? I have the compliance manager. There is a Microsoft default security baseline, the secure score itself, and the default baseline also saying you need to have a DKIM, you need to have implement the SPF record and so on, and turn these technologies on. So if I have high bar in the compliance manager, I'm okay with this law. I can measure it every time. The same thing which I recommend is not only measure, but the living the security itself. Because if you go to the security center itself, you probably find out that there are a lot of messages, phishing was delivered to your company. It will be deleted if every setup will be done correctly in the Exchange Online Admin Center or the Defender. So most company does not act on the data in the console. Maybe there are alerts, maybe there are some pending actions to your IT administrators or the security people to act on that. If I say on the end, what are the priorities of the zero trust and this law here in the Czech Republic? Throw away the legacy basic out. Other session outlined that very well, and a couple of days is missing that Microsoft will turn it off in the Exchange Online, and the Exchange on-premise, this is work for us. Leverage native protections, SPF, DKIM, DMARC, use mail transport security specified by the law, and it is not right now specified by the law, but strongly recommend deploy the Defender for Office 3SP Defender, the MFA, multi-factor authentication, protect your users by the mobile application policies, mobile device management. And if you have the Exchange Hybrid, definitely try to use the Defender for the identity and sensors for the Exchange or the Federation services. And if you have the Hybrid, really patch, test, update your Exchange server, because it only starting this law by the specifying by mail transport. After a baseline will be secured, the lawmakers will go ahead, go to the above, and require more technologies will be deployed. But I can assure you that with these technologies, with these protections specified by the law, your mail flow, your company will be definitely more secure in the terms of the mail transport, mail advancing in the exchange of, because the mails are still in the place. The team says no, but we are on the exchange. Mails will be there for a long time. So thank you that you came to this session. I hope that you will be inspired by our here in the Czech Republic, our Cybersecurity Act, which specify the protections to the mail flow. And we are the MAC. So if you have the questions or, for example, discussions, have the similar law in your country, reply to the chat or unmute yourself and we can discuss a little bit more. Or, for example, what are your experiences to deploying these protective technologies? It's up to you. And thank you for your time. And I hope that you will be inspired and implement all these technologies right now or at least tomorrow.